Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're checking out another HG Witch from Mercury kit. This one is the Darilbalde. This one is probably the one that I've been the most looking forward to. It's got that cool red color scheme, but not only that, it's just a really awesome design. It's got some really cool gimmicks in there as well, so I'm just really looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and get right into the box. Alright, like I've said in all of the reviews, I feel like for these kits, I love the box art. For this one especially, it looks really cool. The painting style, I think, just fits so well with this design as well. Taking a close-up look at that, just like the lighting effects and how those are painted, the just details in the painting on this, especially like up on those shield bits, that looks really cool. You can see the detachable arms and blades in hand, again, just like the painting effects on those parts looks really interesting as well. On the side of the box, you can see this is number 08 in the lineup. And on the bottom of the box here, we got a few different photos of the painted kit and a couple of different poses. Those shields up on the shoulders just are so nice aesthetically for the design, I feel like. And then the feet also come off there on these wires, so I'm guessing we're gonna have some wires. We got some beam effects in here as well. And the drone units can be used with the display stands as well. Again, sold separately unfortunately, but you can use those with that. Here's how the kit is going to look just unpainted there in that photo, just straight out the box. And then on the other side, a look at the fully painted version of the kit, front and back. Really love the design of this one. There's a little bit of information there about the pilot and the story. And with that, we can pop open the box. We'll get to the runners in a moment. There's some wires there along with our stickers. But let's first take a look here at the instruction manual, where we've got the same artwork here on the front, just minus the background. Some more information down there, again, about the pilot. That's in Japanese and in English. On the backside, illustration there of the mobile suit. Information about the weapons. We got the shackle claw, beam saber here, and all this information is in English and Japanese as well. You got the beam Vulcans, the pellet mine, the Ambika, the Isvara. Yeah, a lot of information about different aspects about the kit here. Beam javelin there, the beam anchor, and beam kunai. So a lot of really cool stuff. And then your colors, the color guide is over here on the side. That's all in Japanese and in English as well. Opening it up to the center, you've got the parts list there is also in full color, just a few runners there. And then the first part of the construction is in full color here for the first couple of steps. But then all of the inside of the manual is all going to be just here in black and white for the remainder of the construction. So let's go ahead and get into it. So here's a look at that sticker sheet, and it looks like kind of very similar to the Gundam Ariel and the Lefrith, where you've got different options for the stickers, kind of whether you want to have like the kind of active or inactive ones underneath the clear parts basically. There's one there for the visor, but the rest of these are just going to be going under the clear parts, it looks like. And speaking of clear parts, we do have an included stand here, which is just your basic kind of 1/44 scale stand. It's nice to have that, definitely, I'll take it, but it would have been nice to have the effect parts stand included as well. For effect parts though, we do have the clear purple beam saber effect parts here at runner SB13. And then we do also have two of these black wires, which are going to be 20 centimeters in length for these. Not very strong. I mean, they're a size wire that probably looks correct for 1/44 scale, but they're not going to be able to hold much of anything in terms of weight. So you're probably going to still have to use a stand for these, but we'll find out in just a moment. Getting into the runners then, here is runner A, which is going to be primarily that main red color for the suit, but then you've got some clear parts up there at the top, which is in that kind of smoky clear. Some white parts over here on the side, and then one little yellow part right down there. Runner B is going to be all of the rest of our red parts here, which obviously there's going to be quite a lot for this kit, and those all look really nice. Runner C is going to be all of our internal frame and joint type parts, detailed parts, anything like mechanical detail on this, and this is in a kind of metallic dark gunmetal color. And then last but not least, runner D is in this clear neon green there for the effects for the weapon. Alright, and then once you got it all built up, here is how it's gonna look. It's a really, really awesome kit. I gotta say, this is probably my favorite of the line so far, and it has not only just a really cool look and design to the mobile suit itself, you get some really cool accessories in here as well. And that's all subjective, but I mean, if you've been paying attention to the line so far, you know that it's pretty standard in this line, that the articulation, everything, the details, the color separation is all really quite good. As far as HG kits go, the standard is really quite high for these kits, so nothing too surprising there, but it is a really, really awesome kit. Can highly recommend it, but let's go ahead and dig into those accessories here to start us off. Here we have the included stand, which is going to be fine for the kit itself, but for being able to pull off some of the various gimmicks that this kit can do, not going to be sufficient. You're going to need the extra base sets sold separately. We'll get to that. And for hand option parts, you've got the two closed fists on there, and then you have an additional open hand like this for the left side only. And for its main weapon, the beam javelin, in total is going to be about 21 centimeters in length. This can separate into the beam anchor and a beam kunai. Really cool weapons there, and quite reminiscent of the transient Gundam for me. I mean, it's not like the most super unique weapon, but it is a relatively unique weapon style, at least in terms of like HG Gunpla. There's very few that have a weapon quite like this. The HG Transient Gundam would be one notable example of a similar type of weapon. And then our clear purple beam effect parts. The wires that we have for the shackle claw, we'll see how those work, but again, yeah, without a separate base, it's going to be kind of difficult to really utilize those fully. And then your two adapter parts that you're going to need for that. So let's just talk about that then here quickly. How the shackle claw works. So you're going to pull off the foot, you're going to fold these parts down to make it into like a claw. You take your adapter piece, plug that into there. One end of the wire goes right into here, and that's where you can plug it onto a base. That's your 3mm hole right there. So this part is just meant to be flying through space like that, and the other end of the wire you just plug right into the base of that ball joint that you have there at the ankle. You can see it has a little hole in it, so that just plugs into there like that, and it's a cool gimmick. But yeah, this wire is definitely not going to be strong enough to hold that up on its own, so you could replace this wire with something else. If you got just like a 1mm, I think maybe like a 1.5, even if a 1.5mm wire wouldn't necessarily fit, you could just drill this hole out just to make it a little bit larger. Just at like a 1.5mm wire. You can just get like some gardening wire, and we'll maybe take a look at that for our bonus tip later towards at the end of the video. I'll show you guys maybe how you can do that. The other gimmick is sending the arms off as attack drones. So you have these with your weapons in hand, and your forearms can fly around with the weapons, and these are also just going to be able to plug right onto your standard attachment point there, a 3mm peg on any of your action bases or display stands, like the display stand that we're going to be taking a look at in an upcoming video. And then to replace your forearm, you're going to take one of these spares off of the backpack, plug that right around onto here, and then here is where you can plug your beam sabers. So while his arms are out flying around doing their thing, he can use beam saber arms, which is certainly a very unique gimmick, I have to say. And one more thing just to mention about is the stickers. The sticker that goes there for the visor is quite cool. I think you have that gold and green kind of metallic bit there for the eye sticker. Otherwise, the other stickers are just going to be going underneath these clear parts, and you have just plain black options to use if you wanted to, there and here in the thighs. You have a couple more that go up here on this part, kind of on the shields, up on the shoulders. Those ones look quite nice. Otherwise, just around on the kit, you can see there's a few areas where if you were to just paint in some of these details, or at least pen align in some of these details, it would look quite nice, like some of the little vent details you have around here and there, up here on the knee, for example, pellet mines right there, and just some of these details around on the body. If you were just going there with brown, honestly, I think would look quite nice, because brown works really well as a pen align color on red, but you could use black as well if that's all you have. Some nice detail up underneath the shield sections on the shoulder there. But let's talk about some of the articulation. So the head, which is a really cool, unique head design for this one, can point up to about there, down to about there, so a fairly decent range. A little bit more upward maybe would have been nice, but that should look pretty good for your kind of zooming along through space poses. We have a really nice ab crunch here, all the way forward to there, back to there, so a really wide range of forward and back movement there. Side to side, it's basically just going to be moving side to side a little bit there on the joint at between the top and bottom half of the body anyway. And then we've got some rotation here as well. Going here to, well, we'll start with the shoulders, so those can move side to side, rotate, and then the whole thing can move up and down, so a wide range of motion for those. You can move them basically anywhere that you might want. The whole shoulder itself will swing out to the front a little bit there, like that. You can move the shoulder armor up and ultimately bring the arm quite far vertically like that, so really good range of movement there in the shoulders in kind of every which way. The arm then going to rotate normally at the top there, a double joint here in the elbow. It's going to give you a pretty full bend there for that. And then considering you have the gimmick of the forearm being able to detach from there, a lot of really nice movement and gimmick there built into the arms. Going down to the skirt section, this little bit of very interestingly angled front skirts, as they don't really go down as you might normally have front skirts. They're just kind of angled straight out there, but you can move those a little bit up and down slightly, not really too much, but you can move that. And then the back skirt is just going to be fixed in place, but again, a lot of really nice detail around on that. The hip joint is going to be pretty straightforward. You can bring the legs out to the side quite far, up to the front quite far as well, about 90 degrees to the body there. The double joint in the knee is going to give you a nice separation of that knee armor right there, and looks really cool with some nice kind of piston details built into that knee joint. Looks really nice. And then down here at the ankles, those will rotate side to side more than plenty, back and forth as well. You can see there's a ball joint where the foot is attached, but then another joint up here kind of in the middle of the lower leg that you can angle those very far back like that, and forward not quite as much, but some nice movement there at the ankles, basically again kind of anywhere where you might want. And the foot is actually attached down on a ball joint, and then obviously we have up and down movement at the front and back parts of the feet. That's for the shackle claw, but that can also just be utilized for your different posing. As that is one aspect that I will point out with this kit, that I love the design and the proportions of this, although there is one point where I don't, and that the legs are a really cool design until you get to the feet. It's kind of like a really nice shape and then a very abrupt ending there at the feet. When you have it in a standing pose, it looks much better when you have it up in an action pose or in like an aerial pose where you can point the feet down. Then you get a much nicer silhouette here for the legs, like coming down to a longer point. I think that's a much better shape. If anything, I would even want to modify the legs to be a little slightly longer, just because I think that would fit the design a little bit better, but really cool proportions for this one anyway. All right, guys, and as we take a look at a couple of example poses that you can do with this, is another thing that I want to point out to you guys is that there's not really any seam lines on this kit at all, which is nice. The couple areas where there would be, they disguised the seam lines as panel lines, which is always nice. So if this is the kit, the kind of kit that you would want to just get and be able to build up and paint up very quickly, it's definitely one that you could certainly do that. You know, if you don't feel like doing any kind of extra modification or anything like that, you just want to get it, build it, paint it. It's a very easy one for doing that. And I have to say, I think probably from the entire line so far, this one is my favorite design. I love the design of this. The red color I think really suits it, although I think it would be really interesting to see some different custom builds of this in some different colors. I have no idea what I might do or if or when I might custom paint mine, but I'm certainly looking forward to it whenever I do, and I'll definitely change up the colors. But I think even if you don't, I mean, the red color scheme I think is really cool for this one. So I love this design. It's quite unique. The weapons are really unique. The shoulder shields are really cool. The head design and just overall, it's a really, really cool design. Highly recommend it. A lot of really great gimmicks in there. The only downside to that is that I really wish that you had some extra included effect stands with this, just so that you could actually take advantage of some more of the gimmicks built into this, but unfortunately you don't, and you would probably do best to pick up one of the Witch from Mercury weapon display bases that are sold separately. I will be taking a look at those in an upcoming review, but yeah, if you are planning on getting this kit and you want to be able to do some of the gimmicks that it has, pick up one of the weapon display bases, just because you're just going to want to have that. But other than that, guys, that's just about going to do it for this review. If you guys want to check out this kit or any other kits in the line, you can do that at USA Gundam Store. Of course, the link will be down in the video description below, where we've got all these kits, as well as paints and tools, supplies, and everything else that you guys might need. So check that out. I really like this kit. It's fantastic. I love it. Let me know your guys' thoughts. Do you guys love it as much as I do, or do you have any particular gripes or any particular things that you especially love about it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Wait, bonus tip, right? So yeah, one thing that you can do for things like this when you have a wire from Bandai or whoever that's kind of insufficient is just use some gardening wire. I have this in a few different thicknesses. This is 1.2 millimeter, and you can see it's not really in that good shape, and this is just bare metal. You can get some that's actually coated, which would be better, and especially if you plan on painting it. This is just going to be just for an example of something that you can do. So I'm just going to go ahead and just snip a length of this. The nice thing about this gardening wire is it's usually a little bit more firm. If you didn't want to have to use a separate display base for an effect part like this, using something like this wire instead, as long as it's nothing too heavy. I mean, you're still going to be, you're still going to have a bit of a weight limit, but it's going to be better than what you had included here with the kit, for example. So as you can see, if you want to have it up on the base, something like that, a wire like this is going to be a much better option. Now again, that's if you wanted it in silver, of course you can just paint that, or if you get one that is a coated wire, it's going to be that much easier to paint. But it's just a really nice and should be very cheap and easy to find replacement. Just and this kind of gardening wire, something you could get at any kind of DIY store or like garden store or like a Home Depot, Lowe's, any kind of place like that should have just some gardening wire in their gardening section probably. So that's it for this quick and easy tip, just to be able to kind of better utilize some of the gimmicks of this kit just straight out of the box. Thank you guys so much for checking out the video today. If you'd also like to like and or subscribe, that would be greatly appreciated. But until next time, hope you all have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.